Hi, this is Cass King from Tomorrow Is Lost, and you're listening to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience with Chris.
And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience here, 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. This is your host, Chris. And with me on the line, I have a very special guest, Cass King, the vocalist of Tomorrow Is Lost. What's up? How you doing?
Hello, you all right?
And I ask everyone I talk to, everyone that's on the show, where are you coming from?
I am calling from Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK.
That is awesome. A lot of people calling from the UK. I love it. I never thought I'd be like doing because those time zones are, hard to work out. I think it's 6 hours apart, right?
Are you on Eastern time or?
Yeah, we're from New Jersey, it's Eastern time.
Yeah, so I think it's 5 hours difference. I'm sure it's 5 hours, but yeah, enough to make you tired.
Exactly right. I think the worst I had to schedule was Australia, because they're completely opposite time. Like I had to wake up for that.
I was going to say, did you have to just get up in the middle of the night?
Yeah, one time it was that, and the other time they had to get up for that. So that was a brutal time. But
did they not fly you over?
Yeah, right. I wish they would fly over. That'd be awesome. Actually, that's another thing too. When usually when there's shows going around, I interview people in person. But now with COVID locking everything down, there's no shows to go to, so everything's over.
No, it's not happening now, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys get it? Did any concert show plans get canceled because of this?
Yeah, all of them.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was really bad actually, because we literally couldn't have put our album out at a worse time. We released the album on the 13th of March. And then we went into lockdown here on the 23rd. So we literally had 10 days of being able to gig. I think we squeezed 2 in those 10 days. And then everything quite suddenly went into lockdown. And we were like, well, that was short-lived.
Oh, man.
But never mind. It is what it is, I suppose, isn't it?
Are you guys trying to postpone those shows or cancel them?
We've postponed as many of them as we can. A good few of them were festival appearances, so we're hoping that a lot of those will be rolled over into next year. I think the one that we're probably most disappointed about, though, was we had an album launch show scheduled for April, which we've pushed back towards the end of the year. So we're hoping that'll go ahead now in November. But we're with everything at the minute. I think we've just got to sort of, take each day as it comes and see what happens. But I don't necessarily think it's done the album any harm. I mean, the response has been incredible, and I think if anything, in terms of sort of stretching our audience across the pond and around other countries outside of the UK, it's probably been a good thing for us in terms of international reach, because so much traffic in the industry, I think, is now being sort of funneled online, be that on social media or streaming services and things like that. So I wouldn't like to say that it's not, hugely damaging and worrying for the future of the live music circuit, particularly for sort of smaller grassroots music. But I think in terms of sort of reaching new audiences and new listeners, I think you've got to try and, see the positives in it where you can. And I certainly don't think it's done us any harm in a lot of ways.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the album. It's called Therapy. Mm-hmm. It was released March 13th. And through Eclipse Records. And you said that you're going to have a nice little album release party. Was that going to be in your hometown?
It was, yeah. And, we don't often play our hometown in Newcastle. So we've always been really fortunate from the start that we've had lots of opportunities all over the UK. So to play a hometown show was going to be something really special for us, that we haven't played a hometown headline since 2017, which was the year that we formed. So it was a massive shame to have to postpone that show, but equally it'll just make it all the more special when we do eventually get to do it. So,
well, let's learn a little bit about the band. Let's get the history of it. How did you guys meet each other, and how did Tomorrow's Lost actually form?
Yeah, it was a bit of a coming together of fates, really. Me and Joe, one of the guitarists in the band, we'd been in a band with each other previously, which sort of came to a bit of a natural end. And by that time, we'd entered a music competition, and we'd made it to the final, but then all of a sudden we had no band. So we were like, well, what do we do? So we just went searching for new band members to sort of start this new project. And we recruited some people, and we took the new lineup and the new project to this music competition. And it was on that particular night we met he's now our manager, Dave. So we met him at the end of our first show, and then it just sort of spiraled from there, really. we didn't have a name for weeks. We went weeks without a name, and then we were flicking through like old song lyrics, and Tomorrow's Lost just kind of jumped out, and we just ran with that. And the rest was history, really. I mean, like with a lot of new projects, there's been quite a few lineup changes, but that really sort of felt solid for the first time probably about 18 months ago, when we had there's me, Ryan, Joe, Mark and Josh, and it's just sort of gone from strength to strength ever since, really.
I think you guys picked you made the right decision with Tomorrow's Lost. Strong band name. I think it's rememberable too. I like it. And it's it's accurate. Tomorrow's Lost. I like it.
Well, I'm really pleased that you said that, because when we post all of our merch out at the local post office, we've been doing it for we've probably been taking it down there for about a year now, and they still don't know the name. Like I go in and they'll say, yesterday, tomorrow's gone, and I'm just like, my goodness, like how much longer is this going to take?
Well, you guys also, I feel like, because some bands have like, they have their band names and stuff and their branding and stuff, and I feel like sometimes they change around their logos and it doesn't always look that great. But I feel like Tomorrow's is Lost, the way you guys can actually stylize it in your logo and your branding, it's pretty smart on. So I think you guys are going in a good direction.
Oh, well, thank you for that. The very first logo that we had for it, we kept the apostrophe, so it was originally Tomorrow's Lost. And me and Joe had a couple of heated debates about dropping the apostrophe, and I think it was a good shout that we did. Oh, yeah. In hindsight.
Yeah, you have the little is, where marketing. I like it. I like this kind
of
things.
That was the compromise.
Yeah. It's always hard getting a good logo. Like I was struggling with my show, the Metal Teddy Bear Experience. Yeah. It was like, that's a mouthful, So I was like, do I do MTB? Do I do TMTBE? It's like, and then luckily I have a friend that's really good at graphic design and designing stuff. So he made all my logos. Shout out to Spurks right there. Danny Spurks. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about your record. You guys dropped a music video for Hideaway, and I thought that was a really fun video because like usually metal and rock, everyone is like always serious, got to be stern with it, and this was kind of fun. Were those your kids in the video?
Yeah, so we had this idea for a video that we would get like mini me's, and we would have like a kid version of the band. Interesting fact for anybody who cares, it was never intended for that particular song, and when we were in the studio recording the album, we were really up against the clock with it, and the song that we originally had picked out for a single wasn't going to be ready in time because we already had these video shoots booked, and it was all a mad rush. And Hideaway was literally the only song that we had that was ready to go, so we thought, right, that's going to be our number 2 single, then let's get it done. So it was a bit of a happy accident, but the kids were absolutely amazing on set. It was by far like the best fun we've ever had on a video shoot. It was so great, and they had so much fun. They were dead professional. It really was. It was super good fun, really good.
So were the kids like your children, or were they just like
no?
Else's?
So it was a combination. I think we had like kids of our parents' friends and my boss's kids, and I think Joe had a couple of his cousins do it as well. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag, but it was such a lovely atmosphere for the whole day for the kids. It was really great. And I often just think like, I would have loved to have done something like that when I was like 9. Like spending all day doing a music video. It would have been great.
I'm pretty sure it was Devil Driver did that for their song Clouds Over California. And I'm pretty sure Dez, the frontman, had his son on it. And it's funny now if you look at his son, he's actually trying to do his own career, like vocal covers on Instagram and stuff like that. So it's cool, like when they get to see this.
It comes full circle, doesn't it? It is nice when it comes full circle, definitely.
Do you have plans on dropping more videos, more lyric videos? Because right now during quarantine, people have a lot of time in their hands. They can't do shows, so they thought, hey, why not drop a lyric video? Or like like I know Bleed From Within, they did a Skype video with Matt Heafy because he guest on the solo, Matt Heafy from Trivium. So they had the video with them all on Skype or whatever video chat, and then Matt Heafy just pops in the screen, and it was really cool. So do you guys have any ideas like that?
Well, we've been quite lucky in the sense that we actually recorded a music video before we went into lockdown, which we've just been sitting on for months and months for the 3rd single. So we've got a video coming out for the 3rd single from the album, and then we've also got a lyric video coming out as well a couple of months later. So we've been really lucky that we've still had some material that we've been sitting on from before lockdown, which we've still got to release. So we're looking forward to that. That would be cool.
Do you think you're going to do any like collaborations with other bands? I've seen a lot of people do covers now.
I would really like to actually. I mean, one of the only problems that I've had is that during lockdown, I've still been working. So I think, and I'm really grateful for that, and I feel like I'm in a really fortunate position to still have a job to go to and to still be getting a regular income. But it's kind of made utilising the time that we've had in lockdown for musical things. It's made it really difficult to still try and find the time to fit it all in.
Of course.
So it's been about trying to juggle everything without losing your head completely. But we've got a couple of things on the horizon that we're looking at. We did, because I don't know how much you know about our health service over there in the States, but we've still got our national health service. So it's all state funded and it's free at the point of access and things like that. And there's been obviously a lot of fundraising going on over here in the UK since the virus all kicked off. And we did take part in a charity lockdown album that somebody put together. So all of these bands who participated in it, they all recorded tracks from like the comfort of their own homes with their home recording gear and stuff like that. So
Nice.
so that was really cool to be a part of. So there's some really good stuff going on over here in lockdown, and I think there's a lot of bands and artists are really taking it in their stride and they're doing some incredible things. So I think kudos to anybody out there who's doing that and owning it and making the best of a really bad situation. So lots of good stuff going on.
Yeah, the person that comes to mind when you said it, National Health Service, I think it was Devin Townsend. He did he did 3 quarantine concerts where he set up a dude. I watched his rig video for it. It was hysterical. He had a like a mixer for cakes, like for food. He had that for a camera effect. So he had that hooked up like cake batter to move the camera around. It was hysterical. And then he also used a rotary fan to go back and forth to get another panning effect with another camera. It was so funny. But he put on these concerts to benefit like National Health Service. I think one was Vancouver Hospital and the other one was like a New York General Hospital or something like that.
I think some people have done some incredible things, and they've been so imaginative with how they've been able to do it. I think it's been really incredible actually, seeing how quickly people have been able to adapt to it and learn how to do new things and really just sort of use it to their advantage, because I think people could be forgiving, and I think it's so easy in these really difficult times to just think, right, okay, let's just give up, let's just not bother, let's just sort of suck it all off. And I think to see the fight that a lot of people have had, it has been really inspiring, I think, because it is really difficult and it is really tough. But a lot of people have been doing some amazing stuff like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's also virtual concerts a lot happening now just to benefit bands too. Because I think there's a lot of tours that were canceled or postponed where tour managers, the roadies, like a lot of them are just out of jobs now. So there's like virtual festivals like Slay at Home. Metal Injection is hosting that, and they're having a bunch of bands record sets, and then they're going to all air them, I think it's May 29th. So it's a cool virtual home festival, and you could donate if you want. So like you said, it's great that everyone's getting together and doing these kind of things.
I think it is, and I also think it's really important, like what you picked up on there is, it goes beyond just the bands. You're talking about it's the venues, it's the promoters, it's the roadies, it's the sound engineers, it's the all of these people that keep the machine going. And from a personal point of view, I have to say that I would far sooner support money going to the pockets of those people as opposed to my own, because I'm in a very fortunate position where I'm still able to do my day job and bring in a regular income from that. And I know a lot of people aren't in that position and aren't as fortunate as I am in that respect. So I think for the community to be pulling together and sort of making sure that the money's going to the people who need it the most, I think is is a really commendable thing for people to do collectively.
Yeah, it's sad to see like some venues, like small venues, like your local venues, bars and stuff like that. I heard a lot of them might have to close because of this. There's one in Brooklyn called St. Vitus. I don't know if you've ever been there, but they put up a Kickstarter for I think $15,000, and they luckily now they were able to raise $100,000. So they met their goal by a lot. So I wish every venue gets to be that fortunate.
No, definitely. I know, like one of the guys from another of the bands on our circuit, it's called A Joker's Rage, and their frontman Zach, he's great, fab lad. And he's set up a bit of a movement on social media over here. So everybody's signed up for half marathons to raise money for music venues, to try and keep them open. So that's another way of trying to engage people into trying to raise money and try and keep these businesses afloat, because we don't know what lies on the other side of this.
Yeah, sadly.
And I think we sort of, as much as sort of looking after our own, our own interests as artists, we need to make sure that there's a gig circuit and a gig industry to get back out there onto when this is all over. So I think it's we're part of a much bigger machine, I suppose, as much as it's not a very nice way to think of it, but I think that's the reality of what we do. So I think it's important that we all look after each other.
I feel bad for the people that have to reschedule everything, the promoters and stuff like that. Like, actually speaking to Dave to set this up, he said he was trying to reschedule or postpone or whatever a 3-day festival, and I was like, that sounds awful.
It literally, like, my brain doesn't work with logistical things at all. Like the very mention of the word logistics makes my head want to explode and my brain completely shut down.
Yeah.
So like promoters and festival organizers, like, literally hats off, because I could not do that. I could never do that, ever.
It's going to be so bad
Ever.
too, because like there's so many bands that have to reschedule now, right? Because a lot of them don't want to cancel, because if they cancel, they lose money. They have to get back the money. So a lot of them are trying to postpone. So every band is going to be trying to postpone and reschedule new dates. So to find the little opening, because they're all going to go at the same time, I'm assuming. Like,
Yeah.
people are just going to be jumping to get back on the road. Fans are going to jump to get back into seats, So like, props out to the promoters or whoever, managers that have to reschedule all that.
Yeah, and you're totally right. And I just really hope that it works out, that it works out well, because I think it becomes a bit of a double-edged sword, because you've got, certainly over here in the UK anyway, I don't know what it's like over for you guys in the States, but you've got, like, certainly a grassroots movement that is already pretty saturated. And I think when you have that spillover of everything that hasn't been able to happen this year and that then has to happen next year, that there are only so many punters to go around. And there's only so many venues to book. So you then it almost creates a bit of a bottleneck. And I do worry about the pressure that's going to put on artists who are trying to navigate their way through this situation, and how we're all going to cope with that as the situation progresses. So it will be really interesting to see how it all pans out, but I've just got to keep everything crossed that everybody can pull through it all on the other side. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the positive thing out of this, if you want to look at the bright side, is I think you mentioned before, a lot of bands, their streaming numbers have gone up because they're staying at home now. So like you guys put out Therapy. How like, what was the boost? Because I'm assuming you're looking at Spotify, right? How much did you guys like boost from that?
So we've done really well with the streams on Spotify, certainly for where we're at in where like Hideaway's, I think, our top streaming song, and we've got, I think there's about over 70, it's coming up to 75,000 streams on that one now. Which, for a debut album release, like we couldn't have been more thrilled with that. So we're really pleased, because I think on the grand scale of things, Spotify is still a bit of an emerging thing. I think some people are still not scared of it, that's unfair, but I think reluctant to sort of accept it.
Yeah.
And I still feel that there's a lot of pushing back on it. But I mean, what an incredible way to discover new music and to find new bands and find new things that you like. I think it's a great thing. I do think, however, that there's a certain investment that you have in music when you buy a physical copy. So if you buy a vinyl or you buy a CD, I think that you do feel a greater investment to it. I think you're more patient with it. Whereas I think Spotify, if you don't grab people within that first 5 seconds, you lose them. So I think that's the flip side to it. But I think it's been an incredible way for us to get our music heard by people that wouldn't have otherwise heard of us or listened to the music. So I think it's been a great thing for us, definitely, for new bands. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's definitely all about accessibility. I mean, you really don't make money from Spotify. There was like this interesting article from, I think it was Metal Injection, or another site might have posted it, but they were saying how many spins do you need on Spotify to be above the poverty line? So they said in the U.S. the poverty line is like $12,000 a year. So if you make under that, you're poverty, right? So they were saying You would need, because an average stream for Spotify is 0.006 cents. So you would need 3 million plays a year in order to become like make $12,000. So that's nuts.
Totally.
But it's more about exposure and stuff like that for bands. So
That magic word, exposure.
yeah, right. I mean, I think Spotify is probably the biggest streaming platform. I know Apple Music is very popular, and Amazon Music and stuff like that. But I think a lot of people still go to Spotify. It's so easy actually to
Yeah.
get your music onto Spotify. Like my podcast was so easy to get onto Spotify. I was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
And I
easy.
think it's like any tool really, if you learn how to use it in the right way, and we're still very much in the process of learning that. But we're starting to see the benefits of it, because for a long time we didn't. But I think once you start to, learn the benefits of it and learn how to use it, then I think it can be brilliant. And I certainly feel like we're starting to do that. So
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about the album Therapy. What were the highs and lows of writing and recording the record?
The highs for me were every day in the studio. I love being in the studio, and I love recording, and I love trying out new things, and I love experimenting with different sounds. And we're really fortunate to work with an incredible producer who really brings out the best in us all collectively and individually as well. So that's always a really fun thing. And I think what I really enjoyed was sort of and I know this, a lot of people wouldn't have heard the first EP that we put out, but I think it was sort of seeing the development from the first EP that we put out in 2018, and then being able to appreciate all of the development that we'd achieved in that time when we finally got the album finished. I think that was something really, really humbling, and something really that we were all super proud of. Lows were paying for it. It was very expensive.
Of course, yeah.
And I think it's just because it is a very stressful thing, as much as you can enjoy it, and it's in many ways it can be a once in a lifetime opportunity to do a full length studio album. So we were really grateful for that. But a project of that size, especially when it's your first one, and you're a small up and coming band, it is really stressful, and there's a lot of pressures. And I don't deal particularly well with stress and pressure. Ask anyone in the band, ask Dave, they'll all tell you, like, stress head.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult in those months leading up to the release of the album. But once it was out there, it was the most incredible feeling to see all of the positive feedback, and how much people were enjoying it. So it was all worth it in the end, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to enjoy the studio time, because some people kind of like, I just want to play shows. I just want to go out and play shows. I don't want to be stuck in a studio. I don't really care about that amp head. I don't care about that guitar tone. Like, I just kind of want to play shows. And then there's some people that love that aspect. They're gearheads, and you just love it. So I'm glad you had a good time, because it's always a bummer when you hear a band say, like, oh, I hate it. It was a grueling process.
Yeah.
But let's break into a nice little segment I call the 3 Random Silly Questions segment. I hope you have fun with this one. I've been getting some great answers for this first one.
I don't know, the pressure's too much.
What is the best tour prank you've been a part of or you witnessed?
I think I am the tour prank. I think if you can't think of a good one, you're normally at the butt of them all. So I have to say, I'm generally the easy target in the band, I think, because they tend to get the best reaction. But what is the best tour prank? It wasn't really a prank, but it did happen, and it was pretty bad. As we were all in the van, and we were hiring vans at the time, and we got this really clapped out. It was terrible. It was such a dog, and we were parked up in the car park, and we were busy loading all. I'm saying we were busy loading all the gear out. I'm a typical singer, and I don't even carry my own gear. But I was there, and I did see it happen. Yeah. And the handbrake failed. And the van just started rolling down through the car park.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure our bassist at the time, I'm sure he jumped out and I'm sure he ran in front of the van or something ridiculous like that to try and stop it. So it got pretty intense for a little while, but it was still funny.
How'd you guys stop it?
Can't remember. I think I probably just sat in the van on the wires. I was probably doing my makeup and just thinking, yeah, whatever, we'll be fine, we'll be good. But they must have managed to slow it down somehow. So
that's funny. That's great. That's a good answer. Thank you. Question number 2: which TV show does your band relate to the most? And if you don't watch that much TV, you can use a movie.
I need the lads here because I'm so bad with stuff like this. A TV show that we can relate to, or a movie that we can relate to.
Like for us, like usually in my friend group, like let's say we're watching 70s Show or This Is Always Sunny, we're like, oh, you're that character, dude. Like you're totally that character. You're like, have you guys ever had that moment?
I feel like, can I ask Joe? Come here. I'm gonna have to. Can I phone a friend? I'm gonna have to phone a friend.
Go for it.
I'm gonna get him in. I need to ask you a question. If the band was like, if we were compared to a TV show, who would it be? I was gonna say, yeah, okay, that was he stole my answer that I was gonna give, but now I feel like no one's gonna believe me. But do you guys know a show called The Inbetweeners?
No, I do not.
Maybe I thought it might be lost on you guys. Well, if you want an insight into what Tomorrow Was Lost is like, if you Google Inbetweeners UK, and that should give you a pretty good idea.
Okay, I'll look forward to that. I'll check it out after this interview. That's awesome.
We're basically just horrible to each other most of the time. We're not very pleasant to each other, but it's all in good humor. I
think that's like, it shows that you're a great band. You have great chemistry when you're able to joke and make fun of each other and not take it personally. Like, good banter.
Well, yeah, you are right, and I hear what you're saying, but I would argue that there's a line that I think we probably all too often cross with each other. But we're all pretty thick-skinned. We are all pretty thick-skinned. It's a sign of affection, really.
I feel like you need thick skin to be in this business. To be a band and tour, you need thick skin.
Yeah, definitely. It's not often someone spits the dummy out, and if they do, it's usually me. So we're good.
All right, question number 3. What's one of your biggest pet peeves or something that really grinds your gears?
Dave's driving when he's driving the van. Mark's driving when he's driving the van.
Are they like reckless? Do they drive too close to the curb?
I don't know, actually. I think it's just because I think I'm better. But equally, I don't want to do it. So I feel like I'm constantly stuck between a rock and a hard place because I never want to drive. But I'm always very critical of everybody else's driving. So I turn into like one of those annoying backseat drivers.
Do you ever do the pretend step on the brake? Like I've had passengers that do that. They go like step on the brake. Obviously they don't have a brake, but they're like, "Yo, stop, slow down."
I think I've probably been banned from the front seat because of my interjections, so I get banished to the back now.
Go to the back. No more comments.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I usually try to drive. Like personally, for me, driving it goes by quicker. If I'm just a passenger in the car, I'm just like, all right, what am I gonna do? Like, I guess I can listen to music, but I kind of want to do something. So at least driving kind of takes my mind off the long road trip.
That is true, but what ruins it? If I could drive and there was no one else on the road, it would be fine. I don't like driving when I have to deal with other people, and I don't like driving when there's traffic. And yeah, really bad. I just need to learn how to chill out and calm down. But that's not going to happen. So I just let someone else do it and whinge about it.
I thought I didn't have road rage. I thought I was joking, fun about it. But according to all my friends, they're like, "Dude, you have road rage." I was like, "No, I'm like joking around when I'm cursing off that guy." And they're like, "No, you're pretty angry, dude. Like, I don't know what you're
getting ready to drag him out of his car."
Yeah, I was like, "No, I was just kidding." Like, they're like, "No, dude, you have a problem." So that was the random silly question segment. I hope you enjoyed that.
That was the most stressful part of any interview I've ever had. I'm sweating. My palms are sweating. The quick fire questions. I should have had time to prepare.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have sent you these earlier. Yeah, because I just threw you on the spot. You're like, oh, man, out of the box questions. But that's over with now. So, yeah, is there any upcoming plans for Tomorrow's Lost? Is there anything you guys want to mention?
There's a few things I want to mention, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention. But obviously we have got a third single coming out, which we're really excited about, and then we've also got the lyric video coming out, which I think will probably follow about 6 weeks after that. So I don't know if we're running that as like a fourth single, but we've got more music coming out. We are going to be working on some more little lockdown projects as well, so hopefully we'll have them out soon. And for anybody who's wanting to make the trip from New Jersey to sunny Newcastle upon Tyne in November, we've obviously got our album launch show, which will hopefully be still going ahead, but we'll see what happens. So it's really sort of uncertain times at the minute, but you just got to sort of, throw it all up in the air and see how it all lands, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait for shows to come back and tours to come back. It's like right now it's getting to that point because this summer for us here in New Jersey, like this area for us was crazy. We had so many good tours coming around. We had Gojira and Deftones coming around. We had
Nice.
Rage Against the Machine, Rammstein. We had Slipknot. We had so many shows coming up. Hatebreed. It's just crazy. So every day I keep getting a notification on my phone saying like, "Oh, today's this event," and I'm like,
"Oh no!"
Yeah. And then there was like, there was another show that came by too. It popped up on my phone. I was like, I should just turn off all these reminders. I should like delete them from my calendar because it's just I get bummed out because I'm like working at my job while this pops up. I'm like, I could have been there right now.
You really should get rid of those. Yeah, you really should.
Bring up memory, like bad moments. But don't worry, everything's coming back. Everything said most shows have been canceled. They've just been postponed, so it's a good thing on that end, right?
Same over here as well. So it gives people something to look forward to, doesn't it? Which is really good. And I think you need that. I think you need something on the horizon that you can focus on and look forward to. So I think that's been a really good thing. So
definitely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this interview. It was a lot of fun to chat with you. Yeah. So everyone, check out Tomorrow's Lost Therapy via Eclipse Records. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. See you later.